Welcome everybody to Life on Track, where it's all about helping you get into the driver's seat of your own life, not my life, not Renee's life, your own life, personally and professionally. I'm so excited about this. And Renee, I'm going to bring you back on in 2 seconds. So excited. All right. So you guys, you know that this TV series is all about the principles in this book, Work Love. It's about bringing love into the world, specifically the workplace. This book went #1 bestseller last year as soon as it launched, because I really, truly believe that people are craving the love and respect back into this world. And then the second book that this show is based on, the principles in this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I absolutely love this book. It has a whole design on how to live your life. It was written during the Great Depression for men in 1937. And there's 13 principles in this book that really teaches you how to have an amazing life. It gives you the design for a magnificent life. And I have a 13-book series that I'm a contributing author in, and it's called The 13 Steps to Riches, based on that book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So excited about this. All right. And then also here on Long Island at the Westbury Manor in Westbury, New York, I'm hosting an event on October 24th. It's a luncheon, a networking luncheon from 12:30 until 4:30. And it's going to be amazing. It's about empowering female entrepreneurs to be all you can be, and celebrating the men who support those women. So we're going to have 7 speakers, 2 charities, book signing. It's just going to be, it's a high energy, high vibe, amazing time at the Westbury Manor. So you can go to lifeontracksummit.com, lifeontracksummit.com to see more and get your tickets there. All right, everybody, we're going to get into the show with Renee. I'm so excited. I love her. Let's bring her on. Hey. So here, thank you so much. I'm going to read your bio so everybody can know who you are, and you are absolutely amazing. I love you, my friend. You are extraordinary. You truly are.
I love you too.
Aww. All right. So Renee has cultivated and inspired individuals and teams for over a decade. You immediately feel her energy when she enters a room. After over 25 years working in corporate America, Renee decided it was time to hang up the corporate ladder. She started her professional training and speaking as an instructor at WHW, Women Helping Women, a nonprofit organization where she donated her time helping the unemployed and underemployed find and keep their jobs. Renee has received numerous awards over the years for bringing her teams to the #1 position. Both her years and experience in the corporate world have taught her that in order to move the bar and increase profit, you must first invest in people. After suffering a devastating illness that took away her voice, then a few years later, the loss of her best friend and then father, Renee decided to follow their example to never give up. Now, that legacy is how Renee has chosen to live her life and help others, showing them that just when they feel life is closing in on them, there is always a way out. Today, Renee is a 4-time #1 bestselling author, speaker, and a transformational mindset coach, and creator of the V.O.I.C.E. Voice Blueprint. She works with those suffocating in silence to find their true voice so they can express themselves with confidence and go from surviving to thriving. You are incredible. Welcome to Life on Track.
Thank you so much, Erin. It really is a pleasure to be here. It's an honor.
It's an honor to have you. And the first question that I ask everybody, and you've been on my summit, when it was just Audible, and the first question I ask everybody for years is, how did you get into doing what you're doing, and why?
It's really based on my own life experience. Talking about life on track, it really is that my life was not on track. And how I got to doing what I'm doing is because it was so off of track that I was almost forced into it in a good way, though, because while I was in corporate America, thinking I was on track, not even really having a set idea of what that was, but just doing instead of being. I was in the doing mode. I was a manager in corporate America and having a lot of responsibility for multi-million-dollar teams and departments and people, that I was really focused on them rather than myself. And that's where I believe I got off track, because I was so consumed and concerned with others than the one who was in charge of them. And you can't, like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't see outside the picture from inside the frame. You can't see the forest from the trees. All of those things, all of those sayings, I was actually living each of them in the way that I couldn't see any of it. And I was so involved in, into what I was doing that I never really took time out for me to see what was happening. I will say this. My best friend, who is one of my angels in heaven, did see it. And she really tried desperately to stop me from crashing. She tried. She even would raise her tone to me and say, slow down, in a very emphatic way. And I said, no, I have to do this. I have to do that. It was like running like a marathon to catch up and do and do and do. And I never slowed down until, like I said, I was forced to. I didn't have a choice. So what happened, is I ended up getting very sick.
Yes. It's amazing. And before we get into your story, is extraordinary, so moving, and just you're an incredible testimony to what somebody can do for themselves. Let's just go back to the point about you doing and doing and doing. This world really programs us to live the rat race. If we're not really doing it right, if we're not living in the rat race. My son actually said to me maybe a month ago, he's like, Ma, it's not normal for someone to be that happy, because I'm always like upbeat and happy and like, hey. He's like, Mom, it's not normal for someone to be that happy. And I said, I'm thinking to myself, God, Brendan, and he meant it with all due respect and love. He was just thinking out loud. And I thought to myself, isn't that sad that that's not the norm? Isn't it sad that we're programmed that we're supposed to be miserable and commiserate and complain and stay focused on what's wrong as opposed to what's right? And so then you were forced to slow down and you found your voice. So tell us that story. It's extraordinary.
So while I was running the rat race, it's so true, I ended up getting sick. I mean, not just like a little cold where I needed a few days off to rest, but ending up in the emergency room in so much pain. I had what's called viral pharyngitis. So your pharynx is like your vocal cords area, your throat area. And what happened is I had a sore that broke out into multiple sores all over my vocal cords. And I knew something was different because, I had already experienced what a sore throat was. I had strep years before. I know what that felt like. And this was something I had never experienced. So I didn't know what it was. So the day after I was at work, and it was a closing shift during the Christmas season. So I know everybody out there who's been to a retail establishment during the Christmas holidays knows how really crazy busy it gets. And I was a closing manager and the only closing manager at that time. So I was responsible for the entire building. And I was the only senior manager there. The others were Christmas hires. So I knew when I was going to that shift, even though I wasn't feeling 100%, that I didn't know what was wrong at that time, that I needed to go in. So I didn't try to call out sick. I saw that I was the only one that was scheduled. And I'm like, they're never going to let me not come in. I didn't even attempt to call out. So I went in, and as the hours were passing, I was feeling like a fever raising, it was rising, and I felt my throat was starting to burn, and I was getting chills, and it was like almost midnight, and I was like home into bed. I was just so miserable. I was like, oh my gosh, but something's really wrong here. And the next day I had off. And that was another reason I had gone into work. I don't ever advise going into work when you're sick because it's not healthy for you or for anybody else. And at the time, I didn't think about anything for me. I just I'm off tomorrow. I can make it through tonight. That was my mindset. So I went to the urgent care by my, where I live. And I told her, I feel like there's a sore there. She said there was a sore. It was not a sore throat. She goes, I actually see a sore in your throat. And she gave me a rapid strep test. It wasn't that. And she sent me home, and I'm like, okay. There was nothing that she could do. It just looked like there was a sore, and nothing that she could actually give me for that. Because what do you do for a sore in your throat? It's like there's a sore on it. Like you have a sore on your leg, you treat it. This was in my throat. What would she do? The next day, my best friend, who I said is in heaven, and now she's in heaven, she drove me back to urgent care. And that one sore literally, and I write about it in my book, it gave birth. And I asked her, how many are there? And she said to my friend, she goes, you need to get her to the ER now.
Oh my God.
You need to get her. I'm like, okay. She never said how many there were, but she had known me from the day. She was like, I know if I tell her, she's going to freak out, which I would have, because I'm thinking I knew it was bad as it felt the day before. This felt like even worse than I could have imagined. And, somebody asked me one time in an interview, and I thought it was a great question. I don't even remember what interview it was, but the question was, do you remember your last words before you lost your voice? I said, I don't. Because, you don't know. I didn't know it was going to happen.
Right.
Like if you say, that's why it's so important to not go to bed, angry with somebody before you go to bed, because you don't want to say that was your last thing, was an argument with somebody. You don't know. We don't know what life is going to bring us. So I do not remember the last words I ever spoke before losing my voice. And that turned out to be almost a 4-month time of not having a voice. And it was, Erin, it was not just not having the voice, it was mental, physical, and it was emotional. And I'm going to touch on each one really briefly. It was mental because I had no idea how to help myself, and doctors weren't able to help me. It was physical because there was a multitude of sores that were sitting on my vocal cords, and the pain was off the charts. It was emotional because I was locked away because I was told you can no longer be with the public. That's what the ER doctor told me, because you're highly contagious. You can no longer be with the public. So here you're really sick.
Oh my God.
You have no answers from Western medicine to say, take this, we'll check back with you in 10 days. We'll set another appointment and we'll see how you're doing. They didn't do that because it was not, it was not bacterial. It was a viral infection. And so, and then emotional because I couldn't be with my parents, my best friend. I was literally quarantined, as we know at the time of this, coming off of what COVID had done to everybody and quarantined people for so long. I went into a deep depression. It was like a tailspin. And me, I'm like this positive, upbeat people person that literally took a nosedive and just, was very, very depressed. I'd wake up in tears crying, but yet I couldn't hear the pain of my own tears because I had no voice. So it was a real intense time, and like I said, mental, physical, and emotional. And what I say for anybody out there, whatever your religious belief is, when you're put through something so painful and pull through something, there's a greater reason, and it's greater than you. And I believe, I believe in God, that when God brings you to it and through it, there's that greater purpose that you have in this world.
Absolutely.
To serve and to share.
Absolutely. And you turned your pain into passion. I can't imagine, Renee. I cannot imagine. What did I have? It was a direct laryngoscopy and rigid esophagoscopy to biopsy a hypopharyngeal cyst back in the 90s. They just had a biopsy a cyst, but it was like down, Now that was only like a short term, like 1 day thing, you know what I mean? But I knew how many times during the day I swallowed, because it was so painful.
Right.
I can't imagine what you went through.
It's funny you say that, because many times I'll say people don't realize how many times they swallow until they can't.
Right. Till it feels like,
how many times they swallow, you don't know.
Right. Oh my God. But you turned your pain into passion, and you're teaching people to never give up, which I love. So I want to touch upon that. Tell me, how did you get through to the other side, to where you said, you know what, I am now on fire to just empower people to have a voice, because you went from not having a voice, at all, and you were running the rat race. So you really weren't in charge of your own inner voice, it was based on the outer world, basically. So how did you turn all of that inward, where you found who you are really, and you found that the most powerful voice you could find, and now you're helping others do the same?
Great question, Erin. So to your point, it is that inner voice that really creates the fear, and the outer voice, a friend of mine said this a long time ago, that overcomes it. And, I think of it like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Each character, and we're all characters playing in this world, right? And each character, starting with Dorothy herself, she went to the land of Oz. This was her her dream state or her nightmare state, whatever you want to call it, that she was thrust into from this tornado that in Kansas. And she was thrust into this land from black and white into color. And she went into trying to find her way back home, right? So along her journey, she comes across the Scarecrow looking for a brain. And if you remember that story, the Scarecrow was like the smartest one there, always giving advice to Dorothy and to everybody. He always had this brainy, insight to everything. Then they came across the Tin Man looking for a heart. And if you recall that piece of it, Dorothy had to keep oiling him with the oil can because he cried all the time because he had the biggest heart there.
Yeah.
Then there was the Cowardly Lion looking for courage. Yet, he is the one who jumped, he leapt in front of all those characters to defend Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the Tin Man from the Wicked Witch of the West with all that courage that he was looking for. Yeah. And each of them went to this land to speak to this big, great Oz to find what they had within them. And what they found when Toto pulled back that curtain, and Toto was Dorothy's support system, we all need support, pulled back the curtain with his teeth, and there was this little man with this big voice. And that moral of the whole story is that we have within us what we are seeking outside of us. And sometimes it takes somebody outside of us to pull it out from within. And I didn't realize it at the time I was going through this. I say what you go through, you grow through.
Yeah.
And it's really important to hone in on that because I was not a spiritual gal at the time. I was going and growing through that piece of my life. I didn't understand why it had happened to me, but it really, in hindsight, happened for me. And it was to never give up, not on myself and not on the journey that I'm on, because within my own pain is that passion. From that pain came my purpose to be able to serve others. And that's why I created the V.O.I.C.E blueprint, the V.O.I.C.E, that takes you along the journey from vulnerability. It's an acronym. Each letter stands for something else. So vulnerability is a V, to E, empowerment, in the journey of finding your voice.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And there's so many people roaming the planet. They don't really understand the inner world. They don't understand the depth of their courage because, again, we're programmed. The world programs us to just be dependent on the world as opposed to becoming interdependent and interconnected with each other, and it's all from within. I remember when I was in my 20s, I still thought that my insides were, and I was working on Wall Street at the time, was what I learned in 5th grade science, like your skeleton, your blood flow, your organs, I didn't know. And even my faith was outside of me. It was up in heaven,
Yes.
Beyond the clouds. And my faith was incredibly strong in God. My faith in God was incredibly strong, but everything was outside of me.
Yes.
When I ended up with the cancer and I went within, and all of a sudden I was craving the reading of the personal and professional development books and the cassette tapes I was listening to in 1991. It was amazing. I was like, but so many people don't even know. They don't know about the whole inner world. And what you're speaking about and what I speak about in this show is it opens you up to an extraordinary life. It opens you up to a life of abundance on not being dependent, on the outer world for validation of how pretty you are, how smart you are, how successful you're going to be, or how handsome you are. You don't look to the outer world for validation for anything because you know everything is within you. And this is what you teach. This is what you teach. I love it.
Thank you, Erin. And really, when you can calm the inner world, you can create outer peace.
Yes. It's going from chaos to clarity.
Absolutely.
You might hear my dog scratching at the door right now.
I do hear.
My son.
He's got a voice. He's hearing his voice.
My dog has her voice, Mom.
Yes.
But I want to get into also how not speaking up affects us both personally and professionally.
Absolutely. So that's the whole platform, because I didn't speak up. In my business world, I was taking care of everybody else. If I had something in my mind, I really was, that fear of judgment. What will people say or do? And even though I was very successful in corporate America, I was extremely successful. Number one in the district, the region, the company, the country. I mean, really driving, the sales. And because I was able to do that, because I got to know people. It was never about the sale for me. It really wasn't. And that's with everything I do. It's never about that. I made the connection with the people. I'm all about people.
Right.
Sales always comes after that connection. And if it's meant to be, it will be. But if you don't create that personal connection and interconnection with people, then nothing really matters. It's about that support system that we get from other people, that we give to other people. You have to give in order to receive. And I've never done anything giving to receive anything back. I've given because it's something within my heart to give. The outcome is that I receive back, and I'm like, I wonder how that happened. I wasn't looking for that. I was never looking for that. I just, because I really give with all my heart, because I believe in people.
And that's how it happens. I just have to tell my dog, Molly, mommy loves you. I'm going to be out in a few minutes. Renee and I love you. She's such a good, she just needs to hear me. And Renee and I were speaking for a while before coming on the interview, and Molly's been very patient. and now you hear Molly has her voice at the door.
Molly has a voice.
Loves you, and I'm going to be out in a few minutes. But what you're doing it's just absolutely extraordinary, and that's the law of reciprocity. And so many people, and I speak about this all the time on the show also, they understand physical law, universal physical law, where gravity, everything hits the ground, but there is spiritual law,
Yes.
When you abide by it, again, life opens up. Life gets to be fun because you're not trying so hard. It just comes to you. Like you said, it just came back to you. That's the law of reciprocity, the law of cause and effect,
It's interesting, Erin, because LOA, when I was in corporate America, was a leave of absence. Today, it means law of attraction.
Right.
Completely different meaning today than it did then, because of, going through that time in my life and not speaking up. It happened personally and professionally because I didn't speak up in business, as I was saying, or in life. If, my best friend used to say, where do you want to go today? What do you want to do for dinner? If we had the time off together, I would say, I don't know. What do you want to do?
Right.
It's like, can't make a decision. It's like, I knew what I wanted, but I always felt back then, that younger me, that if I said what I wanted, then somebody else wouldn't get to do what they wanted.
Oh, and it's so disempowering. And a lot of women do that. And a lot of women are raised to do that as little girls. Don't have your hand out. You don't be selfish. It's like always give. And, women have to realize, it's like when we're on a plane and they say, if the oxygen comes down, you have to take that first breath and then give it to your children, because otherwise you're useless. But women have to start taking better care of themselves and speaking up and being okay with saying exactly what you want.
Absolutely.
It's not like you're saying it's my way or the highway, exactly. You're just saying what you would like, what you want. And there needs to be a new conversation as part of the event that I'm doing. It's for female empowerment. There has to be a new conversation that women have with themselves around all of that, because we are the last to show up. Go ahead.
No, 100%. I'm agreeing 100%. Because when we don't speak up, those are the things, the suppression of the voice.
Right.
And what you don't take care of outwardly affects internally. And in my situation, it was literally taking my voice away in a very painful manner because I didn't speak up. I do believe that the metaphoric loss of my voice in life manifested physically in my health. I didn't speak up. I was the people pleaser, the fear of judgment, the looking for the outside validation for the inner self-worth. My best friend used to say, I don't need a piece of paper to tell me that I'm good enough.
Right.
She said, why do you?
Right.
Ugh.
Because there's so many people like you were, thank God you're not anymore, that are roaming the planet in self-doubt, in fear, and all those self-limiting beliefs.
Molly,
I'm so sorry, Molly. I'll be out in a few minutes.
Erin, go. Erin, step away from the camera. Go get Molly. She'll feel better.
But if I let her in, I have the glamour lights. I have And I just don't want her to get hurt. She's a 31-pound poodle.
Oh, okay.
She's a Wheaten Terrier poodle, and she's got a lot of energy. So she'll run in and she'll just run around, and I just don't want her to get hurt.
I thought maybe she was smaller. I haven't seen her. I've heard her before. I've never seen her. So
she's adorable. And my son, he just went out a little while ago, so now she wants me to play with her. So it's just like, give me a few minutes.
But you know what? I'm gonna tie Molly into our conversation because it's about, crying. We're crying out for help. I was crying out for help with a voice that couldn't even express.
Right.
Because it was taken away from me at the time.
Right.
So she's, I'm literally tying her in because she's wanting that help.
Let me try to let her in. And this way she's, I just want to make sure she doesn't get hurt. Hold on.
Okay. We're gonna try this. Let Molly's voice be heard. She needs comfort.
Hold on. Hold on, good girl. All right, stay.
Now she'll be okay because she sees you.
There you go. I hope so. She might just want to play, but we'll roll with this because it's life on track.
It is life on track.
And that's about being okay with, it's moment by moment, day by day, and we just keep rolling with it.
So I think that's what it is, though. So how many women out there, or men even, there's definitely that male market too that has that machismo, like I can't come across that I am, I can't speak up. If I don't say something, they're going to think, what kind of, man am I? So right. People hear the term man up. I mean, right. Or women suppressing their voices. So it's not just for women. My main niche is women because I am one and I understand what that feels like mentally, emotionally, and physically. It's like that abuse in a way. And I'm going to say something which I don't often talk about. I was bullied as a young girl in school. And I'm going to say something. I didn't use my voice then either.
How old were, let me give her a treat and then we're good. Give her a treat and then we're good because I want to hear this.
It's all about the voice. As Molly's getting her treat, we also need to treat ourselves.
Yes. Sorry. Okay. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Tell me about you when you were being bullied. How old were you?
I would say it was in junior high school.
Okay.
Junior high. I would say about junior high school time. And I remember that I was pushed in the hallway. I was kicked under the desk, shoved into lockers. And I'm like, what did I do? I know. What did I do? And I remember turning behind me and seeing the girls that were doing it. And I'm like, I was afraid to speak up. They were the tough girls in school. And they were probably going through their own stuff. Again, I'm not looking through a completely different lens. This is decades ago.
Adult, right.
And looking at the younger me going, why didn't you say anything? I was afraid that it's two of them and maybe more against me. And if I say something, it could be worse. If this is what they're doing without me fighting back, what's going to happen when I do fight back? So I didn't say anything. One elective class I went to was a photography class I'll never forget. And I had probably gone through an episode in the hallways with this. And I walked into the classroom and the teacher, was a sub teacher, but she knew me. And she walked up to me and said, what's wrong? And like the floodgates opened up. Right. And I told her, and she took me into this dark room because it was a photography and film class. And she said, I'm going to say something. I said, you can't. It's going to make it worse. Right. And she was like, this is not good. We can't have this. And everything, I don't remember exactly what she said or did, but it did turn out okay. But that was probably the beginning of me not using my voice. And then in different parts of my life, if you don't address it, it keeps coming back. Again, I was not spiritual in my, whatever, 11, 12 years old or 13, 14 years old.
But it's interesting. Let me just say, it's interesting that you say that about the bullying. So many kids are bullied, and as adults, we know that bullies are very sad, angry children, that are bullying. So it's really a reflection of them, not of the child being bullied.
No, exactly.
Unfortunately, the kids don't fight back for different reasons. I remember I was bullied in 7th grade. And I was already shy. I had a bully for a kindergarten teacher. I had a bully for a 1st grade teacher. So I was already shy going into elementary school. And in 7th grade, there was just, this bully was so annoying. And my mother, I would tell my mother would say, ladies don't fight. Ladies don't fight. And this is back in the 70s. And I was more afraid of, my mother getting mad. if I stood up for myself, if I fought back, I was more worried, like, oh, what's my mother going to do? You know, and not that she would like hit me or anything like that, but I was worried, am I going to disappoint her? Exactly. It's the last thing you want to do with your mom. So, but after 6 months, Renee, I was like, I don't care what my mother says right now. And this girl used to threaten me, you know, beat me up in a park or beat me up with school ground, whatever. I was like, you know what? On the way home, I'm not going out of my way for this. On the way home, I'll meet you on the corner of this and that. And there was a big group, and I had so much adrenaline that I defended myself very well to the point where when I got home, and there was a girl that lived on my block, and she was like, that was amazing. That was amazing. And I was like, oh my God, my mother's going to kill me. My mother's going to kill me. And she's like, but that was amazing. So when I got home, I told my mother, and I was like, I'm so sorry. My mother said, good for you. And I said, I think I broke her nose because it was bleeding. she said, good for you. And I said, but her mother might call. And she said, let her mother call. And because my mother knew I dealt with this for 6 months. So the next thing you know, my Aunt Nancy lived in the attached house to us in Brooklyn. And Aunt Nancy comes out on the stoop and she's slapping me high five. I was like, what? I dealt with that for 6 months when I could have just taken care of it right away. But we all have our different reasons, you know, like we're bullied, and then we have different reasons for not defending ourselves right away or sticking. And I learned at that point never to deal with any kind of bullying for 5 seconds after that, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's suppression, especially as women, of our own voices.
Yeah.
What happens if, you know, if you're in this relationship with an abused woman? Like, why, you know what you have, you know it's horrible, but then if you leave, what happens then? Does it somehow get worse? Where do you go for help? If you're depending on his income and you don't have anything on your own, then you feel like you have to stay, but you never have to feel that you need to stay in a relationship like that, where you're bullied or made to feel less than. And then you see bullied by, it could be your husband, that you're
absolutely
feel less than you should feel. And I don't say should, I don't want to say the word should, but then you deserve to feel, because everybody listening out there deserves to have a good life and not to feel like they're stuck in a relationship when you've been pushed and pushed and pushed. You're like, this pulp that you've been beaten to a pulp, whether physically, emotionally, or mentally. You've been beaten to a pulp. And it's like, you're so weak and you're so like,
emotionally
drained. Yes. Right. So you don't know how to. You don't have the tools to. But what I do is I've given women, and even the men too, and the students out there, those tools to have that. And that's what I do in my book. That's what I do in the course that I created, the Voice Blueprint. And to reach out and to connect with me, because I know what that feels like. It's not somebody, I went to school, Erin. I've got a Bachelor of Arts and Sciences in Psychology. But I will tell you, that psychology degree pales in comparison to the degree in life.
Yes.
I got my biggest lessons from and my biggest teachings from.
Absolutely. And let's talk about your book. Finding your voice, unlock your chains, and unleash your greatness. I love this because I really believe, and I know you do too, everybody on the planet deserves to live an abundant life, an abundance of love and health and respect. And, and like you said, with these women, and there's some men that are abused as well, there's tons of help out there. You don't have to do it alone. There's tons of help for people that are in abusive or toxic relationships, and again, there's a lot of the self-limiting beliefs, like they deserve this or they're unworthy of anything better. And it's just a matter of like undoing that programming in the subconscious and help people get to realize you deserve the inner peace. People work for more money. Why? Because they want the inner peace. They work for healthier relationships because they want the inner peace. They work for help because they want the inner peace. It's all about inner peace. And that's what you help people do. And I love that. So let's talk about that with your book, Finding Your Voice.
There it is. That is a
beautiful
Newport Beach, California. That is not a Photoshop. I literally was on Newport Beach in that dress, that sundress I took out 2 days before. That stance that I have there is a pose that my best friend, we were in San Diego during one of our vacations, and she had, got into this rock and she put her arms in the air. And then after she did, I did it. And I knew that was the pose I wanted to do when I went to Newport after she had passed. And I wrote this book. And it's about that. And in my arms, they are finding your voice, because we're looking up to finding our voice. It's within. And it says, finding is a process. Right? It's finding your voice. It's finding is a process. Unlock and unleash. That's a verb. That's an action. To unlock your chains and unleash your greatness. The chains I was in were my own, and I believe that's the case for many out there. And the greatness is also my own, and again, the case for many out there. But we don't unleash it because we're afraid. It's been the suppressed emotions, the repressed emotions, the limiting beliefs, the fear of judgment, that what happens if I do this, if I say that, will they still like me? Will I be loved? And everybody wants to be loved, but you also really have to start with loving yourself.
Yes.
Before you can accept that love, that healthy love into your life, and setting the healthy boundaries so you can receive in a more abundant way.
I love it. I love it. I was saying, I was speaking, you're Renee Reisch, and I was speaking with Renee Piani last week, the love coach, and she was one of the original founders. She pioneered the speed dating and all that kind of stuff in the 90s. And I said, Renee, it drove me nuts when Tom Cruise came out with You Complete Me. You know what I mean? Like when we count on other people to complete us, that's called codependent.
Right.
Not healthy.
No, that's very interesting. And go ahead.
You want to be 100% full. And I was saying that I spoke to a friend of mine, Steven Spurgeon, that day. And he said, Erin, it's not, because he's single also. And he was saying, he doesn't want to find a woman to complete him. He said, it's not about you complete me. It's about I'm complete and you enhance me. And I thought, right. I was like, Steve, that was amazing.
Him.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's about enhancing the other person, not taking away their voice,
right?
Not suppressing their emotions.
Exactly.
It's having a partner there to enhance what's already there.
Yes, exactly. I loved it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with him. I don't know who he is, but maybe I will before this is over.
He's a good friend of mine. Yes, you will. He's going to be at my event.
There you go. So, and in the book, what I did is I left pages, because everything I do is interactive. The coaching is interactive. The workshop we'll talk about in a minute is interactive, and my book is interactive. So at the end of each chapter, I have what's called a takeaway section. And in it, I post questions to you, the reader, to answer. And I leave literally like 3 to 4 line pages for you to respond. And not that you have to answer them all in one sitting, but you have, different times to go back to the questions to answer them, because you could have multiple times where you go back to it and answer the question. And it becomes a journal.
And when you put pen to paper, then it reinforces everything that you're learning and everything that you're getting out of it. There's a whole psychology around pen to paper. It's brilliant that you put that in your book.
Oh, thank you. I also believe that when you date it, like if you got the book today or it was delivered today, so today's 10/2. So let's say you get it 10/3, you order on Amazon tonight, they deliver it tomorrow because Amazon's so fast, and you start reading, and then you start journaling. So you write 10/3/2022, and you answer the question. And then you go back to that question, and maybe it's a month, maybe it's 3 months, maybe it's 6 months. And you see, look how I answered that question on 10/3/2022. How would I answer today? And you recall where you were, and you see, I would answer completely differently now, because we don't often give ourselves enough credit. We're in the, look at this one, look at that one. We're always comparing ourselves to somebody else and their journey versus ourselves and our own journey. When you document it, and you can see how far you truly come, you can give yourself that credit that you deserve for how far you are coming along your journey in finding your own voice. There's a gal I met like about a year ago, and this one gal, interesting, kept showing up on these Zoom calls, completely different, run by different people. One only had like 4 women on it. It was run by a guy. The other had several pages of Zoom on it, run by a different person. And this one gal showed up to both calls, and so did I. Interestingly enough, she comes off of mute because we were, on Zoom. So she unmics herself and says, Renee, I have your book. I didn't know her, right? I didn't know her. Somebody referred your book to me. They recommended it. And I'm going to tell you, that book has helped me so much. I've got a ton of books at my house, she said, Yours sits on my nightstand, and I do an exercise every single night. And it's truly been a game changer in my life. I'm like,
I
wow.
love it.
I did too. Like, how wonderful. You don't even know the lives that you're changing
Yeah.
until like that happens. You're hoping to. Even if you're changing one life, it's worth everything you've gone through to change somebody else's life for the better, to enhance their life. And to be able to relate to them and them to you and what you went through. And that you can do that. It was such a warm feeling to know that this gal's life has been so enhanced by what she was reading, and it's been helping her in the journey of really finding her own voice, personally and professionally.
I love that. I love that. And it's so rewarding to know that all the work that you've done, even if, and I know, listen, I know it's millions and millions of people, but even just that one person saying, you changed my life. I keep your book on my nightstand. That in and of itself is worth all the work. Like just one person saying like, it's worth the work. It's so good. And you're so good at what you do. And you have a free gift. And thank you everybody for your patience as Molly's here with me chatting away with us.
As Molly's using her voice.
She's chatting away with us. She's having a conversation with us. She's a very social dog, my Molly. So she wants to just talk also. So thank you all for loving her through the whole interview as well. Your gift is a complimentary 30-minute call with you. And you had more also. I mean, your download of your book and the Audible. And I wanted you to go through it.
So yeah, I thank you so much, Erin. So I do have a complimentary 30-minute call to see what's going on and to express our voice and share our voices together. And I would love to be able to do that for you and with you. And then there's also on my link tree, there is a 10-step download, 10 steps to finding your voice. And there's my different opportunities to follow me on social media on Facebook. I have a Facebook group as well, and my LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok. There's all different social media platforms to follow me on. But the first thing is definitely, get a hold of the book. I mean, it's something that will really help serve you in your journey and connect with me. It's a 30-minute complimentary call that I'm offering to you. Take that time and make that time for you because you deserve it. And no matter where you are in your journey, it's all about expression of your voice and sharing it. It's something that I'm really excited. I'm thrilled to have my own voice back. When I was told laying on a gurney that I may never speak again.
Yeah.
Doctors thought it would be permanent damage. They didn't know that it was going to, and I didn't know how I was going to find my own voice physically and emotionally. It was a multiple facets of finding my voice. So the title isn't just finding your voice like, oh, did you have to lose it? No, but where in our life have we lost it?
Right.
Where in our life do we feel that we can't speak up? Where in our life do we feel of those limiting beliefs or the suppressed voice? Where is it taking place, and how can we bring it out together?
And how is reneereisch.com the best way for them to reach you?
Best ways, Renee at reneereisch.com would be that's my email, Renee at Renee Reisch. Oh, there's an E on the end. There's no E at the end of Reisch.
Oh, sorry.
So it's RENEE at.
Okay, hang on for 1 second. You know me. This will just take me about 5 hours. Hang on for 1 second.
We'll have to follow. No.
Hang on for 1 second.
Renee at reneereisch.com. The website's being upgraded, so it's going to be up. Probably within the next week. It's being we're enhancing it as new opportunities are coming up for people. So the website's being enhanced. So it's Renee at reneereisch.com. You can reach me there. Also connect with me on social media. And when you reach out to me on Renee at reneereisch.com, in this subject heading, put this show, Life on Track TV. So I know this is where you heard my voice, you heard about what I do. I would love to be able to reference that it came from Erin's show. That would be really, really cool. So I just put Life on Track in the subject heading, Renee at reneereisch.com. And also on my link tree, Erin, There's the Calendly link. If you can put that up there, my calendar link for them. If you put maybe the link tree up or the calendar link.
What is the Calendly? I didn't have the link tree.
Oh, okay. Well, do the link tree because they can get the other things too. Put HTTPS.
Okay.
And then / linktr.ee.
Oh, .ee.
/ Renee, Renee Reisch, Reisch. And then you can sign up for your 30-minute call on my calendar link by going to, yep, that's it. Yeah.
I did it.
You did it.
Everybody knows that I'm tech challenged.
Yeah,
I can do this on the spot. I'm very impressed with myself.
See, you should be, because I know this is good. So this is really good. You're not giving yourself enough credit. So this would be a great way to reach me. I think the first tab is the complimentary consultation. So click on that. That will take you to my calendar. And then you can sign up for your 30-minute complimentary consultation. I would love to hear from you.
And I want everybody to not walk, run to you for that complimentary consultation. You're extraordinary. And all the things that you do, it's just, you're making this world such a better place, such a more peaceful place, such a more empowered as humans. Molly, come here. I want her to come up on my lap. But every time I lean down to try to pick her up to show everybody, she goes back because she wants to play. So she goes, I'm like, come here, you. She just wants to play. But I mean, you do extraordinary work. And I want everybody to reach out to you.
Thank you so much.
Get to know you.
I also want to say that I have a workshop coming up this Friday, and I have workshop every 3 weeks. And this one is on trusting your voice. The first one I had was on courage and confidence, which is the C in the voice. And then I had 3 weeks later, I did one on forgiveness. And then this one is on trusting your voice. So every 3 weeks, there's a workshop that I host, which is very interactive. So please join me for that as well. And I look forward to hearing from you. And also one other thing, I did also release about 8 weeks ago the audio version of the book. So that is also on the link tree. But I encourage you, no matter what, get your copy. It's an easy peasy read of the book, because you can actually physically write down your answers. So this is a great tool to have, even if you get the audio version. Also have the accompanying book itself. It'll be a game changer for you.
All right, wait, don't go anywhere. I'm going to let her out again because I think one of the kids came home and that's why she wants to go. So
she just is social.
Thank you for your patience. Hang on. Hang on 1 second.
This is what life on track is about.
Yes. Go see Danny boy. Go see Danny. This is life on track. This is life on the move, but this is life on literally on track. You know, there's so many people, like when something, this is real life, you guys, everybody knows that. This is just, and that's what I love about this show. Things happen. Things have happened with my guests, you know, where we just like, they've had clients come in, all of a sudden they have to talk to the clients. I introduce myself to the clients, you know, like, but that's just all part of it. Otherwise it's so stressful and everything has to be perfect. And life is not about perfection. Life is about be the best version of you, with the inner peace and the confidence. You know, that's all I want for everybody on the planet. Have the inner peace, have the confidence, because then life gets to be fun. This is not disrespectful. This is not, you know, like, it's just a matter of, this is life. And a lot of times people feel that they're so close to the third rail and they take everything so seriously. And they just, like, I want people to slow down, unwind, relax, take deep breaths. You know, life gets to be fun, you know, but only you can allow that to happen.
So true. And something else that you just touched on, life on track. Sometimes we think it's off track, our definition of being off track, but really that's the track you needed to be on to keep you on track. Like when things aren't like that saying, when things are falling apart, it's actually when they're coming together.
Yes. Yes.
So it's that same kind of thing that we don't really always see it, because we're used to, you know, they say seeing is believing, but really it's believing is seeing.
Believe it, and then you'll see it.
Yes, exactly.
If you believe it, really, really, really believe it with every fiber of your being, before you know it, you'll see it. It's law. It's law. It's amazing. You're so good. You are so good. And life is, it's just fun. You know, and that's what we're meant to be here, utilizing our God-given gifts. Like you said, it may not be accurate with regard to society, because we go to school and society will groom you to be a worker bee. You know, it's programming people to go out and be worker bees, entrepreneurs, people that are, you know, like Steve Jobs, you know, the idea guy, and just like, we're not meant to be the worker bee. We're creators. and that's what we're meant to do. So society may not like that, and that you might feel a pull, that like it's not the right thing to do. But if you really feel it within and it feels right, and you're following the golden rule, like do unto others, the whole golden rule thing, as long as that's happening, then yes, allow yourself to live life on your track. Like I said in the very beginning, it's not about living on my track, not your track. It's not society's track. You want to be in the driver's seat of your own life as opposed to life driving you. Because if life is driving you, then it's bumpy and it's messy and it's hard and it's not easy and it's not fun. And when no, it's not flow. And when you're utilizing your God-given gifts like you are, like I do, like so many people in the world are, then it's just life it's a beautiful place to be. I look at the trees and I'm like, oh my God, just so beautiful. And just, everything is just, you just experience, the experience of life is so much richer. It's so much deeper rather than just being a spectator looking in on your own life. Like I got to do this and I got to do that and run here and run there. Life gets to be so much better.
Well, yeah, that's what ended up putting me in a bad space because I was in that other space for so long. And then when I was released, it got me into a better place. I was able to release my own voice in a much better way now to serve.
I love it. And powerful, the message that you have for others. There's pain is never for nothing. There's a lot of power in pain, as long as we learn lessons and we don't stay focused on the pain, as long as we learn the lesson. And then like we said before, what you did is turn your pain into purpose and making a big difference in the world.
It is. And my 3 words I always say, they're impact, inspire, and empower.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm here to do, to have a positive impact, to inspire others and to empower them into using and finding their own voice. Because once you find it, and it is your own voice, not anybody else's,
right.
Your own voice, what you want for your life.
Right.
Then you are empowered to live your life on track and your own life with your own voice.
Love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Renee. Thank you for being here, Renee Reisch, being here with all of us today. And you're such a blessing. And this show is going to be aired on Amazon TV and Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Roku, like all the big stations, platforms, as well as my social media. I'm sure your social media and my new YouTube channel. So hit subscribe on it's Erin Lay - Life on Track, and subscribe to the channel. You'll see this interview there as well. Thank you so much, Renee. You're absolutely amazing. I'm going to go out in the backyard, let Molly out in the backyard and go play with her for a little while. And thank you everybody for your patience. While Molly was having a conversation with us as well. And you guys, everybody, you're the best. You're the best. Again, thank you, Renee. You're a blessing. It's an honor and a pleasure. Such a good friend. All right. Have a magnificent day, everybody. And always remember to live onward and upward. Love you.